Hello, my name is Tammy Coley, and I'm the Chief Transformation Officer at BlackLine. Welcome to BlackLine's Anonymous Accountant Process Transformation Series. We have been traveling all over the world, meeting with accountants who are tired of routine manual processes. Today's Anonymous Accountant is from Iowa, and will be sharing her process for accrued salaries and wages so that you too can transform your processes using BlackLine.
I want to share with you what this anonymous accountant shared with me as it relates to the previous process, and then I'm going to show you how we transform their process using BlackLine. So the previous process required them to download files from their payroll system. They downloaded their earnings file, they downloaded their payroll tax file, and they downloaded their 401k file. They also had to use a lookup table to apply 401k percentages to the file that they used for payroll. They also had to multiply for each of the files once they determined the amount that was associated with the last full payroll of the period. Then what they did was they figured out what portion of that payroll they needed to accrue for the current period. So you'll see here where they have their hourly and their salaried factor. 4/10. And so what they're saying is that if you take the full payroll, the last full payroll of the period, that they needed to accrue 4 additional days to get all the way to period end. And so in this particular example, they had to accrue 4/10 of the last payroll so that they can make sure that they had an accrual for their earnings, their payroll taxes, and their 401k that went all the way through to the end of the period. So here's the factor that's used, the 4/10 for this particular month. You'll see here where the earnings file is summarized and then multiplied times the hourly factor here. You'll also see this is where the employees are broken out between hourly and salary. So that's the earnings calculation. Then when you come over here, this is the FICA and the Medicare and Social Security, so the FICA calculation. So this is the payroll tax calculation. It's following the same formula. They're saying, okay, the last payroll period, we had to take the full amount. And then what we're doing is we're saying, let's take the full amount of that last payroll period and let's multiply times 4/10 to represent the 4 days that we need to accrue for the period that we're in. And then we get over here and the same thing with the 401k. So you get the message. Pull all these files and multiply by the different percentages, and in some cases you need lookup tables to make sure that you've populated the hourly versus the salary, as well as to get the 401k percentages in there, and as well as getting that factor that represents the period of time that we need to accrue. So as you know, there's a lot of opportunity for mistakes here. There's opportunities for human error, especially as it relates to trying to manage this process with Excel. So let's move into BlackLine and let's talk about how we can transform this process using BlackLine, eliminate the human error, and get these journal entries done in a much more efficient manner with better controls, and the journal entry and the reconciliation process all completed in one step. So our anonymous accountant is logging onto BlackLine as prepared, as you can see on the screen. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the status of those journal entries that have been automated now using BlackLine. So what we're going to do is I want to show you that those journal entries are complete. Those journal entries are done. You see the 401k accrual, you see the earnings accrual. Let me make this column a little bigger. And you see the payroll tax or FICA accrual. Those journal entries are done. They have been automated using BlackLine. Let me show you some of the line details so that you can see more of the details of what I'm talking about. So if I open up the journal entry, this is the one for the accrued earnings. You'll see here that I have a header record there for the journal entry, and I have all of the lines associated with that journal entry right here for me to see, to take a look at. And then I can also look at all the transactions. And so these are those transactions that we talked about. Remember the transactions that we needed to then multiply times that 4/10 of the period so that we could calculate the journal entry. So everything is right here for me to take a look at. I will review these 3 journal entries, the earnings, the payroll taxes, and the 401k accruals. I will review them, and if everything is good, if I'm good with it, I will then certify these journal entries. I want to make sure that you know that you can add comments, you can add documents, you can add hyperlinks. And the thing that's really cool is when this automated journal entry process was created, we went on ahead and put a comment in here that explained the purpose of the journal entry and the calculation for this journal entry. So that'll follow the journal entry every month as we do the journal entry. It'll always have that purpose and it'll always have the calculation associated with it. So when I'm ready, I can hit certify and certify this journal entry as complete. So that was it. None of that moving around in spreadsheets and worrying about formulas and lookup tables. I log on as preparer, my anonymous accountant logs on as preparer, and there it is, all 3 of those journal entries done. And guess what else? Let's go take a look at the reconciliation. So again, I am logged in as my anonymous accountant, and I want to show you the reconciliation for that accrued earnings and payroll taxes and 401k. There it is, right there in front of you. All done. My anonymous accountant did not have to touch this reconciliation. All of the lines from the journal entry have been loaded to this reconciliation. If I want to look deeper, or if my anonymous accountant wanted to look deeper, he or she can see all of the lines associated with this journal entry right here, right there in BlackLine. This is what makes up the balance in the accrual for the earnings and the payroll taxes and the 401k. So these items are summarized because my anonymous accountant wanted to see the hourly versus the salary. And this particular anonymous accountant keeps the earnings and the payroll taxes and the 401k all in one account. So they need to be able to see it separated out here, and that's what we've done. For those of you who still want to be able to get all the way back to the calculation in the actual reconciliation, that's why we've attached a match set here in BlackLine. So what we've done is we can show you all of the data as we scroll down through here. Here is all of the different data that was used to calculate those journal entries and for those reconciliation processes. So my anonymous accountant is very happy now. All of the journal entries were done without touch. The reconciliation is complete without touch. And my anonymous accountant can focus on more value-added activities for her company. Awesome.
Thanks for watching today. Please be sure to check out additional episodes of BlackLine's Anonymous Accountant Process Transformation Series.